Here I am with our Expedition chassis. I'm going to bed my action into it. This is not something you need to do, but it can only be a good thing, and it is something that we have designed our chassis to be able to do quite easily. So firstly, what I'm going to do is, I got a little bit of sandpaper here. You don't want to sand away too much, but just what you find is the Cerakote it doesn't stick super well to anything. So just take a little bit off, just to scratch it up really, not really trying to sand through the coating. I have a little bit around the corners and then at the back as well. Just trying to do it in a way where it is not visible. Doesn't need to be a whole lot. Okay, and then I've got some acetone here, rubbing alcohol, anything, solvent, anything like that. Just trying to get any oils off. One place also I did not do was the recoil lug face. This is definitely worth doing as well, so you get the most, or as good as you can, mating surface between the recoil lug and this face and the chassis. It's a bit harder to get in there. It's alright. I'm going to use this acetone and I'm going to wipe the bottom of my action as well. Try and clean this up as much as possible. Okay. Next thing is I've got a little bedding kit here, and it has some, this is like release agent wax, commonly used in composite sort of mold making and stuff like that. So I'm just going to take a little bit of this and wipe this on the action. Not necessarily something you really need to do, but you don't want to really be having to pry your action out of the chassis. Just wipe everywhere that might come into contact with. This is something too that you can potentially do a few times. These sort of waxy products, typically recommend you build them up a number of times over a few minutes. So I'll leave that there. Do it once more. The next thing is I've just got some like AB 2-pot epoxy glue. Don't really need a whole lot in there, and in the thickness you only really need like 1/2 mil at most, really. The Action's machine pretty nicely to fit, but nothing's ever perfect, and with the Cerakote and stuff as well. So I'm just going to use the back of this piece of sandpaper. It means it's going to grip the table, not move around too much when I mix it. I'll do another coat of the release agent. And I might do a coat of the release agent on the Action screws as well, just in case they get a little bit of epoxy on these. won't be the end of the world if I did get epoxy on these and they're kind of glued in the action. A little bit of heat breaks most of these plastic bonds reasonably quickly, but it's still something ideally try to avoid. Okay, that should be enough there. This AB epoxy, you don't need a whole lot, it goes off reasonably fast as well. It's just a straight 1-to-1, these little puddles. Mix that up, try and scrape it off what it's on, just to make sure I don't have any of it that isn't mixed. Working time is not super long. I'm going to put some down on this action face, on this bolt, on this recoil lug face. Just trying to get it smeared around these main faces here where it's going to mate up. A little bit around where that front action screw is, because that's where a lot of the force is going to be pulling down into the chassis. And then I'm going to pick up this face around here. Where the recoil lug is as well. You can see doesn't take much at all. And now I'm going to insert the action. Put that back action screw in. Try and put the action in so the recoil lug doesn't push it out of the way. So kind of put it in at the top, push it all the way in, and let it sit down into place. front one in. Now I'm going to set this torque drive just to 10 inch-pounds. Obviously I'm going to do it up much more later on, but only once this is set. And just looking around here, you can see that very small amount has squeezed off. So at this point I'm going to go around with the rag and the acetone and just tidy it all up before it sets. And despite how little I put in there, a reasonable portion has come out, which tells me firstly I have enough pressure on the action screws at this point, and also that I've covered those surfaces adequately. And also, I guess the other thing it indicates is that the chassis shape is reasonably close fit-wise to the action. And then the last part to check is down in here, that there's nothing it's going to interfere with the magazine. You can potentially leave this and clean it up after the fact, but cleaning up something you can wipe away, I always find easier than once it's gone off. It's a little bit tricky. So that's basically all done. Reasonably straightforward and easy to do. I'll come back and leave this overnight in a warmish place to make sure that glue sets really well, and then come back and crank up those action screws. Obviously I'm going to go through and test everything, magazine, all that, to make sure it all works before I go hunting, but that's all you need to do. You can use bedding kits that you purchase, but in reality it's just a bit of 2-pot epoxy like JB Weld you can get from your hardware store, a bit of acetone, popsicle sticks, sandpaper and a rag, and that's all you need to do it. Here I am with the chassis. I'm going to take out the action and check the bedding. Potentially should have left it longer, But in the name of getting things done, here I am. So I'll undo this. Remember, I didn't do these up too tight. And then the best way here is, because it can be quite difficult separating these two, is to squeeze the fore end and the barrel together. It should leverage off here and pop that. There we go, wasn't too bad. And there we go, that bedding at the front's looking quite good. A little bit rough there. I think maybe most of the glue got squeezed out, is kind of what's going on. Maybe I could have left it set a little bit longer too. And same at the back. So there it is at the front. Nice and bedded. So I'm going to put it back together now, crank it down, and going to crank it to the specs full tension. One other thing I might do is just clean off the bottom of the action. A little bit of stuff in there with some acetone so it's nice and clean, and put it back together.